3 true Burger King horror stories, animated story 1. The drive-thru window. My name is Kendrick, and I was 19 years old when this happened. I was working the late night shift at a Burger King in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, manning the drive-thru window from 10 p.m. until close at 2 a.m. It was a Thursday night in mid-March, around 1:15 in the morning, when a car pulled up to my window, and the driver asked me a question that had nothing to do with food. He asked me what time I got off work. He asked me where I parked my car. And he asked me if I ever walked to my car alone. Before I continue, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment telling me where you are watching from tonight. Because what happened over the next few hours is something that still makes me check my rearview mirror every time I drive home from work. The Burger King was located on a busy commercial strip during the day, but at night, the area got quiet. Most of the other businesses closed by 9 or 10, leaving our restaurant as one of the few lights still on in that stretch of road. We stayed open until 2 a.m. on weeknights, catering to late-night drivers, people getting off work, and the occasional group of teenagers looking for something to eat after a party. I had been working there for about 6 months, mostly evening and night shifts, because I was taking classes at the community college during the day. The job was not glamorous, but the tips from drive-thru were decent, and my co-workers were good people. The night manager was a woman named Patricia, mid-40s, who had been in fast food her whole career and ran a tight ship. That Thursday night was slow. We had maybe 20 customers between 10 and midnight. Then it dropped to a trickle. By 1 a.m., we had not seen a car in almost 30 minutes. Patricia was in the back doing paperwork, and I was at the drive-thru window cleaning the counter and watching the empty parking lot. At 1:12, the sensor beeped, indicating a car at the speaker. I put on my headset and gave the standard greeting. "Welcome to Burger King. What can I get for you tonight?" There was a pause. Then a male voice, calm and flat, said he was not hungry. He said he just wanted to talk. I told him that this was a restaurant drive-thru, and if he was not ordering, he needed to move along. He laughed a quiet laugh that did not sound like he found anything funny. Then he said, okay, he would order something. He ordered a small fry and a water. Total was less than $3. I told him to pull up to the window. A few seconds later, his car appeared. It was a dark sedan, older model with tinted windows. When he pulled up to my window, I got my first look at him. He was maybe mid-30s, thin face, dark eyes that seemed to catch the light from the restaurant in a strange way. He was smiling, but it was not a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that made you feel like he knew something you did not. I told him his total, and he handed me exact change. While I was getting his fries and water, he started talking. He asked me what time we closed. I said 2 a.m. He asked what time I got off. I hesitated, then said, I usually left around 2:30 after cleanup. He nodded slowly, like he was filing that information away. Then he asked where the employees parked. He said he noticed there were not many cars in the lot, wondered where we all left our vehicles. Something about the way he asked it made my skin crawl. It was not a casual question. It was deliberate probing. I handed him his food and told him to have a good night, trying to end the conversation. He did not take the bag right away. He just sat there looking at me through the window, that same unsettling smile on his face. He said he liked this Burger King. He said he would be coming back. Then he took his food and drove away. I watched his car exit the parking lot and turn left, heading away from the main road into a residential area. Something about the interaction left me feeling uneasy. I told Patricia about it when she came out of the office. She frowned and said to let her know if he came back. He came back 45 minutes later. The sensor beeped at 1:58, just 2 minutes before close. I looked at the camera feed showing the drive-thru speaker. Same dark sedan. Same tinted windows. My stomach dropped. I put on my headset. He did not wait for my greeting. He just said he told me he would be back. His voice was the same calm and flat, but there was something else in it now. Something that sounded almost excited. I told Patricia immediately. She came to the window with me and told me to take my headset off, that she would handle this. She spoke into the microphone and told the driver that we were closed, that he needed to leave the property. He did not respond. The car just sat there at the speaker for about 30 seconds. Then it slowly rolled forward toward the pickup window. Patricia told me to go to the back of the restaurant. She said she was calling the police. I did not argue. From the back, I could hear Patricia talking to someone at the window. Her voice was firm, telling him to leave, that the police were on their way. I heard his voice too, though I couldn't make out the words. Then, I heard the window slam shut. Patricia came back to find me. Her face was pale. She said he had asked for me by name. She said he knew my name, even though I had never told him. He must have seen my name tag through the window during our first interaction, read it, and remembered it. The police arrived about 10 minutes later. By then, the car was gone. We gave them a description of the vehicle, and the driver told them everything that had happened. They said they would patrol the area, but there was not much they could do unless he actually committed a crime. Patricia walked me to my car that night. We had parked in the employee spots at the side of the building, away from the main lot. My car was an old Honda Civic Silver, nothing special. As we approached it, Patricia stopped. There was something on my windshield, a piece of paper tucked under the wiper blade. I pulled it out and unfolded it. Written in neat handwriting were the words, "I know which car is yours now. See you tomorrow, Kendrick." He had been in our parking lot. While we were inside working, while the police were on their way, he had walked up to my car and left this note. He had been that close. The police came back after we called them. They took the note as evidence, dusted my car for fingerprints, and found nothing useful. They said I should be careful, should vary my routine, should not walk to my car alone. I called in sick for my next 3 shifts. I could not face going back there, could not stand the thought of that window, and what might be on the other side of it. When I finally returned, Patricia had arranged for me to work different hours day shifts instead of nights. She had also installed an additional security camera covering the employee parking area. But it did not matter. 2 weeks after the incident, I was walking to my car after an afternoon shift when I saw it. The same dark sedan parked across the street from the Burger King facing the restaurant. I could not see through the tinted windows, but I knew he was in there, watching. I ran back inside and called the police again. By the time they arrived, the car was gone. They took another report. Nothing came of it. I quit that job a week later. I could not do it anymore. Every time I looked out a window, I expected to see that sedan. Every time I walked to my car, I expected to find another note. It has been 4 years since that night. I never saw him again after I quit. Maybe he moved on to someone else. Maybe he got arrested for something unrelated. Maybe he is still out there watching other drive-thru workers at other restaurants, asking his careful questions, taking his careful notes. I work in a warehouse now. No windows, no customers, no drive-thru lanes where someone can pull up and look me in the eye while they plan something terrible. But I still think about him sometimes. That flat voice, that empty smile, the way he said my name like he owned it. And I wonder how many other people have looked out of a drive-thru window late at night and seen something they could not forget. Story 2. The Restroom. My name is Devin, and I was 25 years old when this happened. I was on a road trip from Dallas to New Orleans, driving alone when I stopped at a Burger King off Interstate 20, somewhere in rural Louisiana, to use the restroom and grab something to eat. It was around 8:30 p.m. on a Saturday night, and the restaurant was mostly empty. Just a family with 2 kids at one table, and an elderly man eating alone in the corner. I ordered my food, then headed to the men's restroom at the back of the building. What I found in that restroom is something I still have nightmares about. If you are new to this channel, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this story might make you think twice about stopping at rest stops alone. The Burger King was one of those older locations that had not been renovated in years. Faded decor, worn booth seats, that particular smell of old grease that never quite goes away, no matter how much you clean. It was attached to a gas station, the kind of setup you see a lot on highway exits in the rural South. The parking lot was about half full. Mostly trucks and SUVs belonging to people passing through. I had been driving for about 4 hours, and I needed a break. My back was stiff, my eyes were tired, and I really needed to use the bathroom. I ordered a Whopper combo at the counter, took my number and headed for the restroom while I waited. The men's room was at the end of a short hallway past the drink station. The hallway was dim, one of the overhead lights flickering slightly, casting strange shadows on the walls. I pushed open the bathroom door and stepped inside. It was a standard fast food restroom. 2 urinals, 2 stalls, 2 sinks, a hand dryer on the wall. The floor was wet in places, either from recent cleaning or poor aim. The smell was a mix of industrial cleaner and something sour underneath. I walked to the urinal and did my business. As I was finishing up, I heard something. A sound from one of the stalls behind me. Not the normal sounds you hear in a restroom. This was different. A wet, rhythmic sound that I couldn't identify, like something being dragged slowly across the floor. I zipped up and turned around. Both stall doors were closed. I had not noticed that when I walked in. I had assumed the bathroom was empty. I looked at the gap under the stall doors, trying to see feet. The first stall was empty. I could see the base of the toilet and nothing else. The second stall, the larger handicap stall at the far end, was different. There was something on the floor, something dark spreading slowly across the tiles toward the drain. My heart started beating faster. I took a step toward the sink, keeping my eyes on that stall. The wet sound had stopped. Everything was silent. I should have left. I should have walked out of that bathroom, found an employee, told them something was wrong. But something in me needed to know what I was seeing, needed to understand what that dark liquid was. I took another step, then another, until I was close enough to see under the stall door clearly. The dark liquid was blood, a lot of it, pooling on the floor, spreading slowly, thick and dark under the fluorescent lights. I stumbled backward, on my back, hitting the sink. I was about to run for the door when the stall door swung open. A man stepped out. He was maybe mid-40s, heavy-set, wearing a flannel shirt that was stained dark with blood. His hands were covered in it. His face was splattered with it, and he was smiling. He looked at me with eyes that were completely calm, completely empty. He said in a voice that was almost friendly that I should not have seen that. He said he was not finished yet. I ran. I slammed through the bathroom door, sprinted down the hallway, burst into the dining area. The family with kids looked up, startled. The elderly man stopped eating. The teenage employee behind the counter stared at me. I was screaming. I do not even remember what I said. Something about blood, about a man in the bathroom, about calling the police. The employee grabbed a phone. The family gathered their children and headed for the exit. The police arrived in about 12 minutes. I was standing outside by then, shaking, unable to go back inside that building. I had not seen the man come out of the restroom, but I had not been watching either. I had just run. The officers went inside. A few minutes later, one of them came out and walked over to me. His face was serious. He said they found something in the handicap stall. He said I needed to come with them to give a statement. What they found was a body. A young man, early 20s, who'd been stabbed multiple times. He had been dead for at least an hour, based on the initial assessment. The blood I saw was his. The man I saw was his killer. The killer was not in the building. He had slipped out sometime during the chaos, probably through a back exit or a side door. By the time the police searched the area, he was gone. I spent the next 4 hours at the police station giving statements, looking at photographs, trying to describe every detail of the man's face. They showed me mugshots, but none of them matched. The victim was identified as a college student from Shreveport who had been driving home to visit his parents. He had stopped at that Burger King just like me to use the restroom and grab food. He had walked into that bathroom and never walked out. They caught the killer about a week later in another state, after he attacked someone else. He was a drifter with a long history of violence, moving from town to town looking for victims in isolated locations. Rest stops, truck stops, fast food restaurants off the highway, places where people were alone and vulnerable. The police told me I was lucky. If I had arrived 5 minutes earlier, I might have been in that bathroom at the same time as the victim. If I had arrived 5 minutes later, the killer might have already cleaned up, and I would never have known what happened. Lucky. That word again. I do not feel lucky. I feel haunted. I finished my drive to New Orleans that night, but I did not stop anywhere else. I drove straight through fighting exhaustion, refusing to pull over. When I got to my hotel, I sat in the shower for an hour trying to wash away the image of that man stepping out of the stall covered in blood, smiling like nothing was wrong. I do not stop at rest stops anymore. I do not use restrooms at fast food restaurants off the highway. If I need a break on a long drive, I find a busy gas station in a well-lit area with plenty of people around, because I know now what can be waiting in those quiet places, those forgotten stops along the road where travelers pass through without paying attention. I know what can be hiding behind a closed stall door waiting for the next person to walk in. And I know that the only difference between becoming a victim and becoming a survivor is sometimes just a matter of minutes. Minutes that you will never get back, that you will never stop thinking about, that will follow you for the rest of your life. Story 3. The Regular. My name is Terrell, and I was 28 years old when this happened. I was the assistant manager at a Burger King in suburban Atlanta, Georgia, responsible for the dinner shift from 4 p.m. to midnight. We had a regular customer, a man who came in every single day at exactly 6:15 p.m. and ordered the same thing. He was quiet, polite, never caused any problems. But after 3 months of seeing him every single day, I started noticing things. Things that made me realize he was not coming for the food. He was coming for one of my employees. And by the time I understood what was happening, he had already learned everything he needed to know about her. Hit that subscribe button and stick around, because this story has an ending that still makes me sick to think about. The Burger King was in a strip mall on the north side of Atlanta, a busy location that served a mix of families' office workers grabbing dinner and students from the nearby high school. We had about 15 employees, mostly part-timers who worked around school or other jobs. It was a decent place to work, steady business, reasonable management. I had been assistant manager for about a year when the regular started showing up. His name, or at least the name he gave us, was Michael. Mid-30s average height, always wore business casual clothes, like he was coming from an office job. He would walk in at 6:15 every day, order a Whopper meal with a large drink and no onions, pay with cash, and sit at the same booth near the window. He would eat slowly, taking about 45 minutes to finish his meal, then leave. Never caused any trouble, never complained, never even talked much beyond placing his order. At first, nobody thought anything of it. Fast food restaurants have regulars. People who live nearby, people whose commutes pass by the building, people who just really like the food. Michael seemed like one of those people. But after a few weeks, I started noticing something. His booth, the one he always chose, had a direct line of sight to the front counter. And whenever a particular employee was working, his eyes never left her. Her name was Brianna. 21 years old college student, worked about 20 hours a week to help pay for school. She was friendly with customers, good at her job, never late. The kind of employee you wanted on your team. I noticed that Michael only came in when Brianna was working. If she had a day off, he did not show up. If she switched shifts with someone, he would come in at the new time instead. It was like he knew her schedule better than I did. I mentioned it to Brianna one day, tried to be casual about it. I asked if she knew the guy who came in every day at 6:15. She shrugged and said she had noticed him, but did not think much of it. She said he was always polite, always tipped $1 when he paid cash. She did not seem concerned, but I was concerned. I started watching Michael more carefully. The way he looked at Brianna was not the way you look at someone taking your order. It was focused, intense, hungry. He would watch her move behind the counter, watch her interact with other customers, watch her walk to the back to get supplies. He was studying her. About 2 months into this, I decided to test my theory. I changed Brianna's schedule without telling anyone, moved her from evening to morning shifts. I wanted to see if Michael would adapt. He did. Within 3 days, he started coming in at 11:30 instead of 6:15. Right when Brianna was working her new shift. He had figured out the change without being told. That confirmed what I suspected. He was not coming for the food, he was coming for her. I pulled Brianna aside and told her what I had observed. I told her about the schedule change, about how he'd adapted, about the way he watched her. Her face went pale. She said she'd been getting strange feelings lately, like someone was watching her even when she was not at work. She said she kept seeing a car that looked like his in her apartment complex parking lot. She said she thought she was being paranoid. She was not being paranoid. We reported it to the police. They said that without direct threats or evidence of a crime, there was not much they could do. They suggested Brianna get a restraining order, but she would need to identify him first, and all we had was a first name that might not even be real. I told Michael the next time he came in that he was no longer welcome at our restaurant. I said we had the right to refuse service to anyone, and we were exercising that right. I expected him to argue, to make a scene. Instead, he just smiled. That same calm smile that showed no emotion. He said he understood. He said he would not cause any trouble. Then he walked out. For about a week, everything was quiet. No Michael, no strange car in Brianna's parking lot, no unsettling feelings of being watched. We started to relax. Then Brianna did not show up for her shift. She was scheduled to work at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. By 11:15, she had not arrived and was not answering her phone. By 11:30, I was seriously worried. Brianna had never missed a shift without calling. Never. I called her emergency contact, her mother. Her mother said Brianna had left for work at 10:30, same as always. She should have been there by now. We called the police. They found Brianna's car at a park about 5 miles from the restaurant. It was parked at the far end of the lot, near the walking trails, in a spot not covered by cameras. Her purse was on the passenger seat. Her keys were in the ignition. She was gone. The search lasted 3 days. Police volunteers, dogs, helicopters. The whole community came together to look for her. They found her on the 3rd day in a cabin in the woods about 20 miles outside the city. She was alive, traumatized, dehydrated, but alive. Michael had taken her from the park, driven her to the cabin, and kept her there. The police said if they had found her a day later, things might have been different. Michael was arrested and charged with kidnapping assault and a list of other offenses. During the investigation, they found his apartment. What they found there turned my stomach. The walls of one room were covered with photographs of Brianna, hundreds of them taken over a period of months. Photos of her at work, at school, at her apartment, at the gym, at the grocery store. He had been following her everywhere, documenting her entire life. There were notebooks filled with information about her, her schedule, her friends, her habits, her routines. He knew everything about her. And in one notebook they found a timeline, a plan. He had been building toward taking her for months. The visits to the restaurant were just part of it, a way to get close, to learn more, to establish a pattern that would let him predict her movements. The day he took her, he had followed her from her apartment, waited until she stopped at the park to take a call from a friend, and grabbed her when she was alone and distracted. Brianna survived. But she carries what happened with her every day. She dropped out of school. She moved to another state. She does not work in customer service anymore. She cannot handle being in positions where strangers can see. Her name tag can learn her name, can start to feel like they know her. I still think about what I could have done differently. I noticed something was wrong early on. I reported it. I banned him from the restaurant. But it was not enough. He'd already learned everything he needed. The damage was already done by the time I took action. After the trial, I quit the restaurant business entirely. I cannot stand behind a counter anymore, could not watch customers watch. My employees could not wonder if one of them was planning something terrible. I work in construction now. Outdoor work, physical labor, no customers, no registers, no name tags. It suits me better. It lets me sleep at night. But I think about Brianna often. I think about Michael's calm smile when I banned him from the restaurant. The way he said he understood, like it did not matter, like he had already gotten what he came for. And I think about all the restaurants out there, all the retail stores, all the places where employees wear name tags and work regular schedules and interact with the same customers day after day. I think about how easy it is for someone like Michael to blend in, to become a regular, to seem harmless, while he is actually building a profile, making a plan, waiting for the right moment. The person who takes your order every day might be in danger, and they might not even know it. The customer who always seems friendly might be something else entirely. Pay attention. Watch out for each other, because the regulars are not always what they seem. Those were 3 true Burger King horror stories. Fast food restaurants are places we visit without thinking twice. We grab a quick meal, use the restroom, go through the drive-thru on our way somewhere else. We do not expect danger in these ordinary places, these familiar chains with their bright lights and standard menus. But as these stories show, danger can hide anywhere. In the car that pulls up to your drive-thru window late at night. In the restroom at the back of a highway stop. In the booth by the window, where the same customer sits day after day, watching, learning, waiting. If you work in fast food, be careful. Pay attention to the customers who seem too interested in your schedule, your name, your personal information. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. And look out for your co-workers, because sometimes they cannot see the danger that you can see from a different angle. If you are a customer, be aware of your surroundings. Check the restroom before you commit to using it. Do not stop at isolated locations late at night if you can help it. And remember that the most ordinary places can become the setting for the most terrifying experiences. Stay safe out there. And the next time you stop at a fast food restaurant on a long drive or a late night craving, take a moment to look around, to notice who else is there, to trust your gut if something does not feel right. Because sometimes the most dangerous person in the building is the one who looks the most normal.